Welcome to my channel, Value Old Coins. Today videos is one you won't to miss. We're diving into the world of coins, so let's get it started. The 1971 Roosevelt dime is one of those seemingly ordinary American coins that, when examined closely, reveals a fascinating blend of artistry, symbolism, monetary history, and the wider context of the United States during the early 1970s. At first glance, the coin appears to be just another small denomination used daily for vending machines, parking meters, telephone booths, and change in stores. But beneath its modest 10-cent face value lies a story tied to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the evolution of U.S. coinage, and the nation's cultural and economic climate at the time. The dime belongs to the Roosevelt Dime series, which began in 1946, the year after President Roosevelt's death. Roosevelt was chosen to appear on the dime because of his role in helping to establish and support the March of Dimes, a public fundraising campaign that was instrumental in the fight against polio, a disease Roosevelt himself had battled throughout his life. His image on the dime, therefore, is not just a portrait of a president, but a commemoration of his personal struggles and contributions to American society. By 1971, the series had been in circulation for 25 years, firmly cemented in American life. The obverse of the 1971 dime continues to feature the left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint in the mid-1940s. Above the portrait, stretching across the rim, is the word liberty, a timeless reminder of the nation's foundational principle. Just beneath Roosevelt's chin and to the left are the words, "In God We Trust," a motto that by this time was standard on all U.S. coins, expressing both a religious and cultural sentiment deeply woven into the American national identity. To the right of Roosevelt's portrait, slightly above shoulder level, is the date 1971. Unlike many other years, the 1971 dime can appear with or without a mint mark, depending on where it was struck. Coins minted in Philadelphia during this period carried no mint mark, a tradition that continued until 1980, when the Philadelphia P began to appear on most denominations. Coins from the Denver Mint feature a small D mint mark to the left of the date, while coins struck in San Francisco, primarily proofs, carry an S mark. Beneath the truncation of Roosevelt's neck appear the initials JS, identifying the artist John Sinek. The obverse is clean, dignified, and compact, yet rich in symbolic meaning, blending liberty, trust in God, and the remembrance of a president who left a deep impact on America. The reverse design of the 1971 dime is equally significant. At its center is a lit torch, symbolizing liberty and enlightenment, a guiding flame that represents knowledge, freedom, and the spirit of progress. Flanking the torch are two branches. On the left, an olive branch, representing peace, and on the right, an oak branch, representing strength, resilience, and civic virtue. These three elements together convey the ideals of America: liberty, peace, and strength, all balanced within a small but powerful design. Encircling the design are inscriptions that identify the coin and nation. At the top is the name of the country, United States of America. Just below the torch, between the branches, is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one, reflecting the unity of the states and the diverse people who form the nation. At the bottom, in clear block letters, is the denomination 1 dime. This reverse has remained unchanged throughout the series and is considered one of the more elegant modern American coin designs, conveying deep ideals without unnecessary clutter. From a technical standpoint, the 1971 dime was made in the copper-nickel-clad composition, which had been adopted in 1965, when the mint removed silver from circulating dimes, quarters, and half dollars due to rising silver prices. Instead of being composed of 90% silver and 10% copper as earlier dimes were, the clad dime consists of a core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. The total composition is 75% copper and 25% nickel on the surface, bonded to the copper interior. This gives the coin its silver-like appearance while being much less expensive to produce. The coin has a diameter of 17.9 millimeters, a thickness of 1.35 millimeters, a mass of 2.27 grams, and a reeded edge with 118 reeds. These specifications have remained consistent since 1965, making the dime instantly recognizable and reliable for both circulation and vending machine use. The mintage figures for the 1971 Roosevelt dime highlight just how common this coin was in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark, produced approximately 456,651,000 dimes. The Denver Mint produced roughly 345,000 coins with the D mint mark. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint struck around 320,000 proof coins for collectors, all bearing the S mint mark. These high mintages mean that the 1971 dime is widely available today and carries only face value, 10 cents, in circulated condition. However, coins that were carefully preserved in mint rolls, bags, or government-issued mint sets can be worth more if they survive in uncirculated grades. Collectors particularly seek out examples that grade Mint State 65, MS65, or higher with sharp strikes and bright luster. Proof versions, especially those with cameo or deep cameo, contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields, are valued higher by collectors of modern proofs. As with many mass-produced coins, the 1971 dime is also known for the occasional error or variety, which can command premiums. Such errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, or missing clad layers. Some 1971 proof dimes from San Francisco show variations in cameo contrast, which makes them particularly collectible. Errors are rare, compared to the overall mintage, but can transform an ordinary dime into a coin worth many times its face value. Beyond its physical details, the 1971 dime also carries cultural and historical resonance. America in 1971 was going through an era of transformation. The Vietnam War was ongoing, inflation was rising, and President Richard Nixon was overseeing major economic changes, including the suspension of the gold standard that year. Coins like the 1971 dime thus reflect a moment in American history where everyday life was shifting, yet the coinage system continued to serve as a constant symbol of national ideals. Millions of Americans would have handled the 1971 dime daily, often without thought, yet each coin silently carried with it the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and a pluribus unum. In conclusion, the 1971 Roosevelt dime may not be rare, but it is far from insignificant. It embodies the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the values of liberty, peace, and strength, and the practical adaptation of America's coinage system in a time of economic necessity. With over 800 million struck between Philadelphia and Denver, plus millions of proofs from San Francisco, it is among the most common dimes of the modern era. But condition, grade, and errors still provide areas of interest for collectors. More importantly, it serves as a small metallic reminder of America in the early 1970s, a time of change, uncertainty, and perseverance. For numismatists, even the most common coin like the 1971 dime offers a window into history, design, and meaning that extends far beyond its simple face value.
The 1981 D Roosevelt dime is an interesting small-denomination coin from a United States mint, and though it may seem like a simple piece of circulating currency, its history, design, composition, and minting details reveal much about the era in which it was produced. To begin, The coin belongs to the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 to honor the late President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who had passed away the previous year. Roosevelt was remembered for leading the nation through the Great Depression and much of World War II, and he was also closely tied to the March of Dimes, a campaign aimed at fighting polio, which adds symbolic significance to his portrait on the 10-cent coin. The 1981 D dime was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark located on the obverse, just above the date. Denver's minting facility produced vast quantities of circulating coinage during this time, so the 1981 D dime is not considered scarce in terms of sheer numbers, though condition and preservation play an important role in its collectible appeal. On the obverse, the coin features a familiar left-facing bust of President Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint during the 1940s. Above his head appears the word liberty, a central motto on all U.S. coinage, signifying the nation's core value of freedom. To the left of the portrait, near Roosevelt's chin, is the motto "In God We Trust," which had long been part of American coinage, representing the spiritual heritage and trust in divine providence that many Americans associated with their national identity. The date 1981 sits prominently to the right of Roosevelt's profile, followed just above by the D mint mark for Denver. Below the truncation of Roosevelt's neck is the engraver's initials, JS, standing for John Sinek. The overall design is compact but carries symbolic weight, uniting liberty, faith, and remembrance of one of America's most influential presidents on a coin just 17.9 millimeters in diameter. The reverse design features a torch, symbolizing liberty and enlightenment, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. These botanical elements were carefully chosen for their symbolic meanings. The olive branch represents peace, while the oak branch represents strength, endurance, and civic virtue. Encircling these central motifs are inscriptions that declare the coin's identity and national belonging. At the top, in bold lettering, appears United States of America. Just below the central design is a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a phrase that captures the idea of unity among diversity, reflecting the union of the American states into one nation. At the bottom, the denomination 1 dime is clearly written to prevent confusion with similar-sized coinage. The reverse design conveys both simplicity and dignity, embodying values of peace, strength, and unity in a way that fits the small canvas of a dime. From a technical perspective, the 1981 D dime is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, which had been the standard since the mid-1960s, following the removal of silver from circulating dimes due to rising bullion costs. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.9 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 reeds. This clad composition gives the coin its characteristic silvery appearance while being economical for mass production. The removal of silver after 1964 marked a shift in U.S. coinage history, and by 1981, Americans were well accustomed to these modern-clad dimes. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1981 D Roosevelt dimes, making them very common in circulation. Precise figures indicate a total mintage of approximately 746,558,000 coins, which means nearly 750 million examples entered circulation. Because of this high number, most 1981 D dimes hold only face value, 10 cents, when found in worn condition. However, higher-grade examples, particularly those that were preserved in uncirculated rolls or mint sets, carry collector interest. Coins graded mint state, MS, 65 or higher can command a premium, especially if they show sharp strikes, clean fields, and brilliant luster. Collectors also note that 1981 was a year before a major change in U.S. proof coinage. Beginning in 1982, the Mint stopped placing mint marks on proof struck at San Francisco, which creates a unique context for coins of the early 1980s. While the 1981 D dime itself did not undergo such experimental changes, it belongs to this transitional era in U.S. minting history, making it part of a broader narrative. Errors and varieties can also elevate the value of a 1981 D dime. Examples include off-center strikes, clip planches, and double dies, though these are rare and must be authenticated. Historically, a dime from this period also reflects the economic and cultural climate of early 1980s America. In 1981, the nation was experiencing the early years of the Reagan presidency, high inflation, and a shift in U.S. monetary policy. Everyday coinage like the 1981 D dime circulated widely in vending machines, payphones, laundromats, and daily commerce, making it an integral part of ordinary American life. While billions passed unnoticed through the hands of the public, each coin still carried with it the symbolism of liberty, faith, strength, peace, and national unity. In conclusion, the 1981 D Roosevelt dime may not be a rare or highly valuable coin in most cases, but it holds historical, artistic, and symbolic significance. Its design connects to President Roosevelt's legacy and the values he represented, while its reverse continues the mint's long tradition of blending classical imagery with American ideals. As a product of the Denver Mint, struck in massive numbers, it is a tangible reminder of the United States in the early 1980s, serving as both a practical tool of commerce and a miniature piece of national heritage. Collectors who appreciate not only rarity but also context will find meaning in studying coins like the 1981 D dime, which, though common, represents a living fragment of U.S. numismatic history.